He's done it!
Throws up the floater.
Oh, astonishing.
Pulls off three-pointer.
Welcome back to episode 2 of Off the Record. If you saw us last week, you might know what you're in store for. I'm your host, Bailey Jackson, joined by my co-host, Lachelle Smith. Lachelle, talk to me. How are we feeling? How's your weekend going?
Going good. It's the weekend. You know, you always need a moment to decompress, feel good. I'm excited about game 2. How is your weekend going? I know we talked earlier.
I'm doing better. You know, we've had our better moments. A little food poisoning doesn't get me down. You know, I got my Pacers hat on again today. I'm ready for game 2. Unfortunately, it happens to be at the same time as our stream. I'm going to take it off for the sake of looks, but happens to be at the same time as our stream. But Lachelle, you made a good point. You know, these broadcasts never really start on time. So who knows? We could be done with the stream and tip-off hasn't even started yet. So
honestly, we're the real pre-show if you think about it technically.
Who needs NBA on TNT? Who needs Shaq in them?
It's us.
You got us. Unfortunately, there's no more of them either, but that's okay. It's kind of sad, but that's okay. We're going to move on. Speaking of NBA finals, speaking of Pacers, OKC, we saw a beautiful game 1. I don't know about you. I watched the game in my apartment. It was just myself. I was alone. And my apartment's never been louder in that moment. I screamed. I did not expect that moment to happen. We'll walk everyone through just in case that they didn't see that game. So basically, whole game, I mean, OKC's defense was just suffocating the Pacers. Turnovers galore. It wasn't a great game for the Pacers. They managed to stay somewhat close for the majority of the first half, and then the OKC kind of broke away there in the second half. And then it was like maybe 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I remember turning back. I admittedly, I was like, I'm not going to watch this anymore. I'm like, it just doesn't seem like it's going to go in our favor. So I turned around, paid no attention, but then it was like 4 minutes left. I look back, scores like 94-98. I was like, okay,
crazy.
we're back in this, right? Fast forward to the last few seconds of the game, Halliburton, Mr. Clutch, comes in and does what he does best, and he puts the Pacers up by 1 point. 0.3 seconds left on the clock. OKC basically has to inbound and shoot the ball. Can't do it. Pacers win game 1. Crazy at OKC.
Insane.
I don't think anybody expected that. I'm going to say I expected that. Did I? I don't know. But
in the fourth quarter, you had hope.
Yeah. I was definitely, I was rooting for the Pacers. Obviously, I said, from our episode last week that I'm going to root for the Pacers, through and through for this series. But yeah, no, I don't know if I really expected game 1 to be where they were going to get their first win. Lachelle, what were your thoughts? Chat, let us know what you were thinking about the game as well.
Chad, I'm going to be honest. I did think it was over. I was like, OKC got this. Their defense is showing us why they have the best defense in the NBA. I was like, Pacers making too many mistakes. 19, 20 turnovers in the first half. I'm like, okay, this is how I kind of expect the game 1 to go. Little by little, though, I saw by halftime, I was like, they're only down by 10 or 11 with all these turnovers. That just doesn't seem right. There's no way you should still be in this game with this many errors that you're making. And they still didn't look in rhythm. They looked a little out of it, trying to play a little too fast, then trying to figure out how to play slow, and kind of just really discombobulated for Indy. But then as I'm watching that third quarter, I was like, I know better than to turn this TV off on them. I need to see this through. Even when OKC got to up 15, I was like, okay, maybe. But then little by little, I'm like, there's no way that they're only down by 10, or then it goes to 5, then it goes to 3. And I'm like, how did we even get here? I think the best thing to say is, I think Indiana, what they do well is they stay in it. They're never out of a game because of their offense. Rick Carlisle has been coaching circles around everybody in the playoffs. So in his mind, I'm sure he's like, we're only down by this much with that many turnovers. It can't be worse than, like, we're actually in a better spot than what it's presenting itself as. I know people talk about the pace of the Pacers, but I think it's also just the stamina. It's because they're able to kind of little by little, like, okay, let's just weather the storm. They've been in these situations a lot, being down, so they're pretty much used to it. I think if anything, both teams got a taste of the reality of each other, that OKC's defense really is that good. I think the Pacers were like, oh, this is the best defense that we've faced. Like, they are slowing us down. We are making mistakes. I think OKC got to witness real time. Oh, it is real, like how they walk people down. Like, it isn't a fluke. Like, little by little, you look up and you're like, wait, they won the game. So, you know, I'm proud of Indy. I think they had to get one. You have to get game one or you got to get game two. You got to steal one going back to Indy for 3 and 4. I think they understood that. Even if they don't win tonight, it's still okay because you still got one. Like, you're still in a good spot. If they get tonight, oh boy, that casket is slowly going in the ground, and somebody from OKC is going to have to jump up and scare everybody, get up out that ground before we're looking at this being over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. They needed to get either one of these games under their belt before going back to Indianapolis. I'm really excited. I hope tonight they win. I want to know your thoughts, predictions on game 2 before it actually gets started. I know, like you said, we're a little ahead of tip-off right now. So what do you think? You think Pacers? You think OKC tonight?
I do have OKC, and I think only because I'm going off of what I've seen from them when they lose a game in the playoffs. It's very similar to that Denver series where they kind of like got a little shocked in those first 2 games and kind of had to recalibrate a little bit. And I think as we've seen in the season, the playoffs, they respond very well after they lose games. This is the NBA Finals. It is different. Indiana has all this confidence. And I guess I would ask you this, Bailey, because you're a Pacers fan. You know, when you're watching that first half, were you really like, dang, OKC really is that good? Or was it more like, okay, I've been here before with the Pacers. Like, I get they're never really out of it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like with the Pacers, you can't expect them to come back and figure things out. I mean, we saw that earlier in the playoffs for them with the Cavs. We saw that, you know, with the Knicks as well. I get worried at times because, of course, you never want to see your team like struggle too much or down too much. But I mean, we've proven that we can come back and figure it out. It gets close at times. Obviously, there's been a handful of like game-winning moments, and it's like you know, down to the last second at the buzzer, you know. So, you know, I'm confident, but it still gets scary. Like, it's never anything that you want to see as a fan, where it's just like I'd prefer a blowout as you know, opposed to you know, something that's like a real nail biter. Although it's fun to watch and like it makes the game exciting, and like those moments we celebrate more, but I don't want it to be that close. I do not want it to be that close at all. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this game what we can watch tonight. I'm gonna say Pacers. You know, because I can't root against Indy, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Pacers. It's gonna be difficult for them now that the OKC has seen, you know, what this team is like. They've got a taste of, you know, what to expect. So obviously they're gonna make adjustments. You know, the Pacers will hopefully make adjustments too. Hopefully respond better to OKC's defense. You know, they got caught up in the paint a lot. They understand this like swarming defense that they have. You know, I think if hopefully Rick Carlisle and the team, they figure that out in the last few days and they can, you know, come back better. But yeah, I'm going to say, you know, Pacers tonight, and then hopefully going into Wednesday, there'll be 2 dubs under the belt.
Hey, it's a good spot to be in if you're Indiana. If you could get up out of OKC, out of all that bad weather, up 2-0, oh boy, that's scary.
It is scary. I want to ask you this. How do you think the Pacers can finish the job versus OKC? What do you think they got to do?
I think you can't underestimate how good OKC is. I think if you're Indiana, you have all this confidence after game 1, but this is the best team you faced. Like, truly, by all merits, the hardest challenge you're going to have. So they're not going to make the same mistakes the Knicks made. They're not going to make the same mistakes Cleveland made. Like, there are certain things that they're just not going to do because it's just not how they've played basketball. And I always say, like, you're not going to turn it on now for the playoffs. Like, you have to look at what it's been like from round 1 and then 2 and now here. And OKC has been in situations where you see that the product after a loss is a very good performance. Like, Minnesota got to see it. Game 3, Minnesota blows them out. And then like they're back at it. Like you would have never thought that blowout happened.
Mm-hmm.
Denver even experienced it. So if you're Indiana, you have to stay the course. Like don't take it for granted thinking like, oh, since we came back and this is what we do and it's our identity, they're going to allow this to keep happening. It's like, this is the best challenge for you that they're not going to want that to happen again. They're not trying to lose a game like that. I think they learn very quickly. So if you're Indiana, you stay the course of what you're doing. You adjust as is. I mean, you got a dub off of probably a really bad performance collectively by their merits and not this astronomical, amazing performance by Tyrese either, but you won. And that's all that matters, right? But then you got to look at game 2 and be like, we have to be better because we can't keep being in situations like this against a team like this that won't keep the door open like that many more times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One person in the chat said, I wonder if OKC's youth is going to hurt him. And I kind of agree with that. Part of me, so this is my take. I think the Pacers have to accept that Shea is who he is. He is 100%. The real deal and make it clear that he isn't going to beat you, right? Like you have to focus on cutting him like head off the monster, right? As a result, you got to make the other guys who've never been to the finals. And in this case, that's where the youth, the little bit of that postseason inexperience comes in. You got to make those guys step up. Lou Dort, Wallace, you have to make them show up and do that consistently, right? I think it's really as simple as that. Now, easier said than done, but that's my take on like the youth part of it. I mean, obviously you've got Caruso's been to the finals. I don't know if
he got that with Braun, I think. So like,
yeah, I don't know if you have anybody else on that team though.
I'm with the youth part of it. I think youth is an issue. I didn't understand why Wallace was in the starting lineup to begin with in game 1. I thought if he was going to go small, I would have put Caruso for experience. Like that's who I'm going to put to man the ship. Youth is a problem. I mean, you don't know what you don't know till you don't know it. Like none of them have played in the NBA finals. They didn't understand the intensity. They didn't understand the moment. I mean, Siakam gets a lot of credit because when Indy was struggling, he kind of was like manning the ship down, even in that first half with certain shots and facilitate, but he has that finals experience. So, he can anchor them a little bit differently till everyone catches up to speed. Rick Carlisle has NBA finals experience. He coached that Dallas Mavericks team where they make that amazing run. Like he's been there. OKC from the coaching standpoint, young coach, he also doesn't have experience. So I think, chat, you're right. Like youth is an issue. It's not an excuse, but it is a weakness in a sense in terms of NBA finals like this and what we just saw.
Yeah, absolutely. You make a good point. It's an excuse, no, you said it's not an excuse, but it is a weakness. There we go. All right. I like that. Speaking of weaknesses in the NBA. This is maybe a little bit of a hot take because I mean, some people like this guy, some people don't. Tibbs, and switch over to New York Knicks.
I love
quickly. Do you feel like he was a weakness for the Knicks? Because apparently the Knicks thought so. They let him go. They said, "Hey, you know what? You didn't get us to the finals this year. You're out the door." I know a lot of people, including myself, were very confused as to why they were so quick to fire him. He's led the Knicks to one of the best seasons that they've had in a while, best run for the Knicks in 25 years. He's built upon, previously a pretty good year. They went deeper into the playoffs this year. I mean, they're right on the cusp of being in this postseason finals conversation. So it was confusing. Like I said, that they decided, hey, you're going to get the boot. I know there's been some theories as to why. There's been, some talk as to why. We've talked about before just his ability to, rotate his players over playing his starters, not utilizing his bench. I want your thoughts on why you think Tibbs is out, who you think should be replacing Tibbs, because I got a little bit of a hot take I want your opinion on in terms of his replacement. But I'm gonna let you start. Chat, I want to hear what you got as well.
Chat, I like Tibbs. I do like Tibbs, but I don't know if Tibbs is the problem or it's more the front offices of the NBA. I think as we've seen in the coaching carousel of it all, you got guys who win or go far and then like they have maybe a down season to the merit of the front office and now they're fired, right? I don't think it's that Tibbs did a bad job. I think, one, it's front offices not wanting to take the time to understand the process of actually building an NBA championship caliber team. So it's like, I think front offices are all looking at each other. And you start looking at other teams and like, well, how did they get success before us? And like, I have these guys. Well, how did they jump up to this now? And I think the Pacers are getting people fired. I hope the Pacers know that. They got Tibbs fired. Somebody need to go get Tyrese Howard. They got that man fired. Okay, Rick Carlisle got that man fired because I think the front office looked and was like, now wait, how did this team that for a lot of us didn't have any business getting this far take game 1, game 2, we were in this fight, and then they win, and now they're going to the NBA Finals, and we're not. So I think you start not tending to what your team needs, and instead you're looking at other teams like, well, that coach got them from here to here. Well, it's a process. Like, you have to be okay with the process. I think Tibbs' philosophy may have ran its course. I do believe that. I think the not wanting to rotate players, utilizing your bench, this kind of mentality of everybody's going to play till the wheels fall off, kind of allowing your star to kind of have this autonomy to do whatever. And sometimes it results in clutch moments, but it also results in losses. So I kind of see it. I think Mike Malone's a great option. I've been on the Mike Malone train. I think if you look at what he did with Denver, it was a really good championship team. They had a bench, they had a core, they had an offense, they had a defense, they had the superstar, and his mentality and culture is very aggressive. It's very, hey, let's get it together, let's go. He knows how to kind of dictate personalities, how guys need the ball in their hand and the volume of shots and getting other young guys utilized. But I don't know. It sucks for Tibbs, right? I think New York really liked him. I think the team liked him. Him and Brunson are super close. Like, Brunson said he's known him like his whole life. His dad and him are really close and all of that. But I could see a new voice needing to be in the locker room that may either get other things out of players or also put the pressure on the front office to get other players. I mean, if you're in the New York front office, Bailey, are you at the end of this exit interview, you're sitting in front of Tibbs, like, what would be your first cause of concern after that series where you would be like, I got to ask you, like, why didn't you do this? Or do you kind of think you're the right guy for the job?
Yeah, I would really focus on the rotations, honestly. I mean, it's really, it comes down to the stats of the starters. I think they played on like average 15, like the amount of minutes added up to 15 more games, which is crazy. Like, you can't wear your guys out like that. So I would say that for starters. And then, I mean, this factors into the starters conversation. Utilize your assistant coaching staff more. Like, they are supposed to be there to help you make those decisions. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Tibbs is going to be the one that is making like the final decision. But it's like, you know, listen to your assistant coaches, or, you know, if they're not telling you what needs to be said, then find new assistant coaches. Maybe that's where they should have started, as opposed to going straight to Tibbs and kicking him out. Because I know there was some conversation around, you know, Rick Brunson maybe not being the best that he could be when it comes to being an assistant coach. So, I mean, there were some concerns there. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I think if I were the front office, would be the first question I'm asking is, like, you have the support, why aren't you utilizing it? And then how is that factoring into your decision making when it comes to these rotations? Because it just wasn't making a whole lot of sense. But
right.
Tibbs is old news now. So you said Mike Malone. I know some people in New York are saying Mike Malone as well. They really like him. They're embracing him. I've heard some other names thrown around. Mark Jackson. I know Jay Will got on First Take and he said Ime Udoka. And I know Stephen A.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
That was interesting to me. I was like, Ime?
Yeah. Which I'm not mad at that. It's just like, he's not leaving Houston, and Houston's not going to let him leave.
Right. Right. They're not letting him walk.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. So it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, I understand the philosophy, like where your head's at with it, but like, you're just not going to, like, they're not giving him up. So it's like, okay, like, let's be realistic with our choices now. How do you feel about Mark Jackson? I know that name's been thrown around quite a bit.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's fun to talk about. I think the New York Knicks need someone who's kind of been in the current cycle of what's going on. The NBA is different than when Mark Jackson was coaching. Like, it has changed a lot. So I think they need someone who kind of has already adapted to what this is and the state of the NBA and kind of what's needed. He was ahead of the curve at one point, but I think now it's just a taller task. Like, you're just dealing with so many more things now, I think, with these orgs. So I don't know if Mark's the right guy. I have heard Jason Kidd. That shocked me.
I don't think I've heard that one, to be honest with you.
I heard Jason Kidd, and that I think the Mavericks were going to give him approval to interview, I think, if he was asked. Very shocking. Don't quote me completely on that, but go look it up. Type in Jason Kidd, New York Knicks. I swear they were like, there's chatter that the Knicks might be like, hey, let's get J Kidd. I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't know, chat.
Interesting. Okay, I want chat's opinion. Alicia, your opinion, because this is my hot take. Dan Hurley. What do we think about Dan Hurley? Okay, he's an East Coast guy through and through, right? Grew up in New Jersey, went to Seton Hall, at UConn now, back-to-back national championships. I know some people argue, hey, like he's a college coach. How does that translate to the NBA? You've had plenty of
Mhm.
college coaches go to the NBA. It may not be the best success stories, but I mean, Calipari, Patino, like it can be done. It can be done.
That's a
So
good
I want
hot
to hear your
take.
thoughts. Chat, what do you think? Lachelle, what do you think about Dan Hurley?
That's a that's a good hot take. I wasn't even thinking about Dan because I think after the year he just had with UConn, I was like, you just need to sit down for a minute. I need you to just kind of get yourself back
That's
together.
fair.
You went through a lot. But that's very interesting that you bring that up because if you look back at the Lakers trying to get him, they felt like he was very fit to do the job of
Hmm.
being an NBA coach of a historic franchise.
Hmm.
The Knicks are that same franchise that puts butts in seats. Their fans want success. They
Hmm.
need and want championships. I mean, he fits the aggressiveness. I think the media wouldn't scare him at all. I think the players wouldn't. I think he would be a good fit. I do wonder if he would want to leave UConn. I feel like he feels a way after last year that he really wants to right his wrongs
Yeah.
with UConn. But I think I would, I think that's actually a very good hot take. And if you are in the New York, Knicks front office in here right now, I'm asking for an interview. Like, just come through. Let's talk. Show me what you would do. Because again, you asked him to want to leave college after winning a championship. So
Hmm.
it wasn't as enticing. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, I'd rather go back. But then the year he had was so rough
Yeah.
that I wonder if like his opinion has now changed. Like now a second historic franchise is now asking you, can you really say no again?
Right.
Ooh, I
And
can
it
see
makes
that.
more sense this time around too. It's like you're asking him to move all the way to LA. Like
That's a
that's a
lot.
lot. That's a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even like from just a personal perspective, I was like, you got a family. Like they're used
Mm-hmm.
to Connecticut. Like and again, he's been an East Coast guy like his whole life. So it's like you're asking him to make a whole life change that just like and at the time wasn't making a whole lot of sense for him. So it's like now, things are a little bit more in his favor. Could this potentially work out? We don't know. We'll see.
I
I'm
like
curious
that.
to know who the Knicks' next coach will be. I'm also curious to see if any more names get tossed around. Chat, let us know if you have anybody that we didn't mention. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. We got a new All-Star format for NBA All-Star Weekend. It is USA versus the world. Lachelle, it doesn't seem like you like this.
I just don't think the format's the problem.
That's
I just
fair.
think they keep coming up with different reasons as to
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. In my opinion, and I have a feeling you are probably in the same boat, it's not, again, like you said, it's not the format. It's the fact that players do not want to play. They do not want to try, and they aren't going to play hard. What's going to make them play hard? Changing the
Mhm.
format. I understand the thought process behind it, where it's like a pride thing. Like you're playing for your, no, I guess not in this case, country, because it's world versus USA. So it's like
Mhm.
everybody on the world team doesn't even get to represent their country.
Right.
Um, like I think they think that whole pride piece is coming in, right?
Mhm.
But anyways, um, yeah, I think that there's like this incentive to them where it's like, okay, we're gonna represent our being international and being the face of the league from an international perspective. Cool, but like that doesn't those guys they say the Euro players do not play for real.
Mm-mm.
They don't play for real, but I am curious, like, say they were to try, like, say they were to try, like, do we think it is Team World that's winning or Team USA? Because I mean, not Team World, roster
Mm.
would be stacked. It'd be stacked.
I mean, I get it from an ego perspective. I think you hit it on the head. If it were to work, it's like, okay, like I can see it, right? It
Yeah.
tips the scale a little bit. But I just think like these guys have made it clear that I don't think it's the format. It's not even the competition. I think it's this pure feeling that they don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah,
Like
no.
they don't see it as important. They don't see it as a pride thing. They feel like they're not getting any extra incentive as to why they should be out there, which again, I don't even know why they're asking for more money to play in the All-Star game. And I'm like, that's in your contract when you're hitting those benchmarks. Like you're getting a bonus already, like from via your contract. Like, why should the NBA give you another amount of money for you getting honored for being an all-star? I think it's just the feeling. I think maybe there's blame on the OGs for kind of not caring towards the end of their careers or whatever the case may be, right? But the pride just isn't there. I think I'm not against the format fully because I did like how the NHL kind of did their Four Worlds situation, which was really fun to watch. But like, they have a pride, and it's kind of like what you said, it's the world. So like, you're not even representing your individual country. Like, it's just the world. So like, you still don't have, you still like, the only one is benefiting is Team USA.
Right.
Like, cool, like, yeah. Then it's like, how do you fill out all these players for the world? Like, are you adding more spots for all-stars now? Are you specifically giving guys more of an incentive? Like, how are you kind of grouping this? Because like, say there's not enough to fill the world team. So then it's like, what do you do here? Like, how does this work? And again, it's like, you could do as many formats as you want. Like, the guys just, I'm sorry, they just don't care. Chat, you can tell me I'm wrong, but they just don't care.
Yeah. I think the league thinks that they figured it out from a fan viewership perspective, but it's like you really have to consider the players, right? Like you really have to consider the players. And the players, I mean, at the end of the day, they're not going to give you the product. And that's the issue. It's like the product was quote unquote been bad. You need to start there. You need to start figuring out what, like, have some meetings with them. If maybe it is pay that needs to change, maybe it is, I don't know, some other type of incentive, but like you got to think about them, not the fans. The fans, they'll tune in once they figure out if the people on the court actually care, right?
Facts.
The players are the issue. But yeah, there's a lot of questions that are circulating. I mean, it's like the league doesn't really have 100% answer as to like what this year is or what this all-star format is going to look like. I know there's been some questions around like how are they going to decide who's playing? Is it going to be a fan vote? Like, are you, like you said, like, are you going to have enough people to fill the rosters? All I gotta say is if this doesn't work, they might as well just make all-star an actual break and move on. Like, I don't know what the solution is at that point. I mean, honestly, like what are you gonna do if you've changed
Nothing
the
you can
format? This is what, the third format in 3 years.
It's bad.
Just give them a break. Just give them a break.
It's bad. Just bring 1v1 and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like, give the fans keep giving suggestions. Bring 1v1. Chat, tell me if I'm wrong. If I was watching 1v1, I'd be like, okay, you might have something that they might care.
Yeah.
Because if it's one thing Hoopers do not like is being beat 1v1. They can let go of all-star game. They sleeping all right. But their ego, if you want to appeal to ego and pride, you put a 1v1 out there, put some names in a hat. Oh, the product is going to look like Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson recently. Like, it's going to look like that. And that was a delight to watch. That's what you're going to get.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
That's what they need. The product is there. The NBA got Adam. I know if you're in here, somebody who knows Adam, commissioner. So I'm telling you, that's all you need. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. That's what you need right there.
No, literally. I need a Michael Beasley, Lance Stevenson. Like I need like a Draymond Jordan Poole. Like that would be a great all-star weekend.
Come on. I'm telling you, like, I would love it. It. It would bring out the best.
Oh, for sure. Oh, you know how many people would like kill to just absolutely destroy their least favorite NBA player
So we
on the big stage? Yeah, like what?
Everyone's locked in.
I need a Draymond Poole matchup ASAP. That'd be crazy. Speaking of destroying, the Fever destroyed the Chicago Sky yesterday. It was not great at all. And it was crazy. 79-52 was the final score. It was a historic game too. They played at the United Center. That was the first WNBA game played at United Center. Considered a huge, quote unquote rivalry game for the Sky, for the Fever. The Fever were without Caitlin Clark. She's still out on injury. And they were out without Sophie. So I would keep wanting to say Sophie Cunningham. So yeah, I mean, you've got your star out, and another really solid player, really solid contributor, and they still got destroyed. Want to know your thoughts? My initial thoughts in chat. Please chime in here as well. I just don't think the Sky coach seems to know who to keep on the floor. I
Mm-hmm.
also don't feel like he knows how to utilize Angel. He's been playing her out of her position. On top of that, guards are still not getting the bigs the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Cardosa, she seems lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like consistently, this is like not only applying to the game last night, but other games. Teams are doing a hack job on Angel, and no calls are being made. So I'm just kind of confused. I was like, there's a lot going on. I mean, that's like a lot of moving pieces that need to be
Mm-hmm.
figured out. I do want to touch back on the coach here in a second, but like I said, Lachelle, chat, I want to hear your thoughts on that game because that was not the expectation. I think we all thought that they were going to do way better, and that was clearly not it.
Yeah. That game is not the problem for me.
Okay.
I think at this point, it's like what you just said, which is like it's collectively an issue. And I think that's just a culmination of like, you got beat like this and Caitlin wasn't even playing. Like, okay, now this is becoming embarrassing. It was bad at first. I think now it's embarrassing.
Mm.
The coach in the front office to me are the problem. And I think we could blame players all day. I think it's a very easy thing to do. Some teams are not well constructed. So teams can only play as good as what they're able to do. I think that's how you have coaches have people out of position and rotations, not the right guards that you may have needed. That's like a front office thing. And I think Chicago Sky have nothing but themselves to blame, not the players, but the front office. You had no business firing Teaspoon in the first year. That was the problem. Now you don't have culture. That's also the issue. Becky Hammond just said about her aces. I can't coach effort. I can't preach about heart. Like, it's just a culture now. And some coaches can, really build a culture. Some others can't. So, like, yeah, you can sit here and say, like, he keeps things organized. It can't be that organized if we keep losing. So like something's not right here. And like players look lost. They don't look like they're in the right spots. They don't look comfortable in the positions that they should be in. Where when you look at last year's team, they were competitive. Even if they did lose, it still was competitive. They were going to try. They were going to fight. It was going to make more sense towards the end. Now you're looking at some of these losses and you're like, man, do they even want to be out there? Like, it does look like the locker room to me is done. I think he's lost the locker room. That could be wrong, chat. And some of y'all who are, avid Chicago Sky fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but it does look like they're disengaged. It does look like they don't have a flow. They don't have this chemistry that last year looked a lot different. Despite them, not making a playoff push, it still looked really good or promising at least. The potential was there. And I think when you're firing coaches after 1 year and you want to change and a switch, and this is still a young team, you look at Cardosa, you look at Angel, like they're still young in their career. So they need development. They need time. They need familiarity. And when you switch coaches like that, now the team looks different. Now people you didn't re-sign and you change this and you change that. Now like you're looking at this issue and it looks a mess right now.
Yeah. No, it does look a mess. And I was talking to one of my friends earlier who's really close with one of the owners, Nadia, and this is a little bit of insider information. She has said that she is unhappy with the coach. She said that he lacks personality. He's good at keeping things organized, which you touched on, but he's lacking personality. And there was another word that I was told, but I'm spacing on exactly what was said. But I thought that was interesting. It was like, okay, you're not deep into the season whatsoever, and you're already feeling this way about the coach. He's probably gone after the season.
Oh, yeah.
That's an indicator. He's out. He's out the door. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, they had a great coach last year in Teaspoon. Players loved him, or her, excuse me. Players loved her. So yeah, the coaching situation in Chicago, I feel like for a lot of Chicago teams, actually, Sky, Bulls included, Bears included, it's just not not been historically great. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. You got to make some changes. And speaking of changes, Steelers made a change. Aaron Rodgers is now the quarterback. 1 year, $13.65 million deal. How do we feel about that? Chat, I want to hear your thoughts. Lachelle, I want to hear your thoughts. I know this isn't like a surprise. It's like we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers' sisters
Been a long
for a
time.
minute. Yeah, so this wasn't any type of like, oh my gosh, Aaron.
Yeah.
What? Like this is, we've been kind of waiting for this news to come. Now it's finally here though. Like let's hear Let's hear our thoughts.
I don't see it. I don't see. If you're a Steelers fan in the chat, you can.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of L's in the chat.
Okay,
right now.
there we go. Because I know I'm not
Poor
crazy. The fact that it took this long for him to sign, the fact that the Steelers even sat there and said, we're going to give away Justin Fields because we want Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying A-Rod's bad. I'm not sitting here like you look at the numbers, you look at the stats, you compare him to some of the top guys of the league. There's a real argument that there was no real drop-off, right? But you're looking at the future of organizations. He's not playing 5+ more seasons. I don't personally believe that.
No, absolutely not.
If you're the Steelers, it's like, okay, did you really just get him for like a 1-year rental and then you're going to hit the draft again when you could have just drafted your future now earlier?
Yeah.
And I just don't know if it complements the long-term goal. I don't know if this is a front office decision or Mike Tomlin. There has been some talks from people feeling like Mike T has kind of lost the organization a little bit, whereas like he had a firm hand on it all this time and kind of now it's like, okay, it's kind of dicey. And I feel like he's been very decisive on quarterbacks in the years that we watched him. And I feel like this is the first time I was like, there's no way you're convincing me Mike Tomlin is like waiting out for a quarterback to make a decision, like almost begging a quarterback to come and play. And like, that just doesn't seem like his character of what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Aaron Rodgers compliments the team for the long run. Because that's how I'm looking at it. They're not winning a Super Bowl this year. They're not.
No.
Like, that's not going to happen. Like, you're already making these offensive changes. You gave up Pickens. You get DK Metcalf. Like, there's already a lot going on. Like, they were about to start the season with Mason Rudolph. Okay, like, they were geared to do that. Like, they were comfortable enough to be like, oh, if Aaron doesn't, what? Yeah. That doesn't make sense. No disrespect to Will Howard. I think he is so happy to be a Steeler. He's a homegrown type of guy, gonna do the work. But like, let's be honest right now. Like, I hope Aaron Rodgers goes and does what he needs to do. I hope that it's worth the wait, that he's focused, that he is ready to be diligent. But I do believe Steelers fans are gonna feel the same thing that Jets fans felt, that it's kind of like, I don't know if this really works. And if that's the case, we could have just kept Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's one of those moves, in my opinion, that just doesn't really change anything. Like, I didn't see in the chat that someone said first losing season in Tomlin's career incoming. I don't know if I agree with that, but I don't see it being any better of a season for them. I'm very, very confident that Tomlin will keep this over 50%, 50% win for the Steelers. But I mean, them being better than 9-8, maybe 10-7, like it's just gonna be on par. I feel like just with what we've got from Mike Tomlin and the team for the last however many years he's been a coach, decade plus. He's been a coach for a minute. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it just doesn't move the needle. I mean, Rodgers, he's still. I know that the Achilles tear was 2 years ago now, but it's like that takes a while to come back from. He's not mobile. I mean, he's just not a mobile QB. You still have an O-line that's not really great. And then you're talking about your weapons for the Steelers. I made note of this because I was like, what weapons do they have? They've got DK. You can argue that might be an upgrade over Pickens. That's neither here nor there. Yeah,
that's just preference.
Yeah, literally. You got Freiermuth. Okay, cool. Jalen Warren, Robert Woods, Caleb Johnson. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Steelers are not going to have a great season. It's going to be pretty meh. That's just my 2 cents on it.
It just doesn't seem like the future.
No, absolutely not.
At all.
No, it doesn't seem like the future. Maybe he'll re-sign for a second year. I don't know. Even then, like, I also saw some reports saying that, like, this was the third choice for them, like, for the Steelers. Like, this, like, Rodgers wasn't even, like, their top option. So I'm curious to know who was the 1 and 2. And then, like, with that being said, is like, this guy is not your forever, right? You're not your long-term solution, and probably not even a short-term solution. So then it's like, okay, you're going to find yourself in the same predicament next year. What are you going to do then? You're like, hope that I don't even know who's coming out the draft for, like, from a quarterback perspective this upcoming season.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so it's like, are you targeting? Like, you're not targeting anybody from what we've seen. Like what's going on? I don't know.
Who made this decision?
No, literally. Yeah, I don't know. Tomlin slipping. I want to root for Tomlin so bad. Like, I mean, he's such a such a good coach in my opinion. Like I don't
Yeah.
want him to have a bad year, but it's just like I just don't think the Steelers are gonna have a great year. Let's put it that way.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, not at all. Let's pivot
Mm.
away from football and let's talk about a little bit of tennis. Coco Gauff won the French Open, and yes, round of applause. W's in the chat for Coco Gauff. This is the first time in a decade that there's been an American champion at the French Open. It's been a really amazing journey for her. She was there 3 years ago and wasn't able to win. This is her second Grand Slam title. She talked about this a little bit in her post-match interview that she was really struggling mentally after that loss in 2023, or was it 2022? Whenever she was last at the French Open, or she's just really in her head and just, mentally just maybe not the most stable. Like, especially before that match, she said she was crying, high nerves, and was questioning because of how that went for her if she could handle it again, right? And she came back 2025 and she did amazing. So W's in the chat for Coco. I want to get your perspective on some of the post-match comments from her competitor. Arena is her name. Believe she's a Polish tennis player. And she was basically implying that the only reason that Coco beat her was because she played the worst match of her career based on the conditions. I thought Coco handled it really well. Coco is a person who I think one of her best qualities is her attitude and just like her competitive spirit. It's so easy to root for her from that perspective, and it also shows in how she handles certain situations. We know that there's been a little bit of a history with this person that she's played against, Serena. So yeah, I want to hear your perspective, your 2 cents on that. Chat, chime in as well on the Coco Gauff win.
I think Coco is phenomenal. And I think as fans, we have to allow players to evolve into their greatness. And I think, when she had the US Open win, it was like, yes, we're getting another Serena. I think we're so quick to want another Serena.
Yeah.
And I get that from a fan perspective. Like you always want that next one that's going to, kind of captivate you and you could cling on to. And it's like, yes. And I think when she kind of went through kind of a slew of losses, even after that, some disappointing losses, even the Olympics, people were like, wait, like we just saw you play so well and do all these things as a teenager. It's like, well, wait, what's like the drop off? And I think Coco has done so well is just growing. She's listened to some of the criticism. I mean, she got a new coach. She ended up working on her serve, which was a big thing people talked about, it being a little bit inconsistent. She honed in on her strengths. You could tell she even got stronger. But I think what I saw in this French Open final was her mentality. And even her speaking to the mental side. You go back and look at some earlier matches, she would be visibly upset at times. She'd be crying. She'd be frustrated. Middle of the matches, like kind of she would check herself out of it. And, tennis is so isolated. You're out there by yourself. You can't look to someone else and, hey, help me out. It's not doubles. Like she's out there like Lone Ranger. So everything feels intensified. A loss feels bigger than what it is. A win feels even bigger than what it is. So I think what you saw in that final was she looked so composed. Even to be down a set and be like, all right, I'm good. Like lock in, we're good. Like, and I could see why Sabalenka, who has a history of not being a gracious loser, would say, I don't think she played that incredible. I just had some errors. Yeah. But like, girl, somebody had to make you have those errors.
Right.
Now, you do have some unforced ones, but there are some forced ones as well. And I think Coco just watching her in that moment and kind of grow up in a sense, right? She's so young. She's like just 21. And Sabalenka is a great player. Despite the antics, despite all that stuff, she's going to bring the best out of you. She's going to make you have to raise that level. I mean, they played in the US Open that time 2 years ago when she won. And it was a 3-set type of thing. So, I think Coco handled it well. Like you said, she's so easy to root for. Like even how she handled the press conference and was like, well, hey, like the person that she said would have beat me, like I beat them in straight sets. Like it's all perspective. Like what we really talking about here. But like she says it in such a nice way. You're like, wow, that was so sweet. But like, it's like, nah, girl, she really just was like, nah, I smoked her too. Like, what's up? Like, like I smoked you and I smoked her. What? Say something. But it's so nice. It's so pleasant. It's like, yeah, well, but it's like, nah, girl, she talking a nice way. But Chad, I'm one of those people. I don't always believe in gracious losers. I get it, like a PR thing. It's like, yes, great job. But like even Nafisa Collier, after Minnesota lost to New York, she was like, man, they blew that call. We lost because of that. 2 months later, she's still like, hey, we lost. Like some things aren't gracious. That doesn't validate or justify certain things that are said. But I think for Sabalenka, like, she has a history of that. Like, we're talking about somebody who argues with her team mid-match. Like, my mom gave me that information. She's a big tennis fan. So even she was like, oh no, like, she just does that. Like, she's going to make excuses. She's going to do that. It's like not an isolated event here. But it's also like, because Coco wasn't phased. Like, she kind of was like, all right, girl, you ain't did this before. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
But the dub is the dub. The trophy's with me. So it doesn't really matter.
No, literally. Somebody needs to clip that. I like that comparison to Nafisa because that was a really good one. But yeah, she wasn't phased. She handles herself very well. I mean, her game is mature, but she's also mature. I think it definitely just shows in, like you said, some of her post games or post match, pressers and just the way that she handles situations. So big props to her. Again, W's in the chat for Coco. I want to move on to our last segment, and that's Russell Westbrook. Okay. We haven't heard Russell Westbrook being mentioned a whole lot. And this is an interesting story. So the same basketball club that offered Pat Bev a contract in Israel has now said that Russell Westbrook, they have this life-changing, huge offer, never seen before in European basketball, that they're preparing to offer him. They've been in contact with his camp. And, there may be some talks about Russ going over to Israel to play. And there's actually a funny story behind this. I was on a plane to Summer League last year, and I happened to be sitting in the same row as the owner of that team. And we were chatting. He said, oh, you're going to Summer League? I said, yeah. Like, are you? And he said, yeah. But I said, well, what are you going out there for? And he said, I'm going to try to sign Pat Bev. He's like, hey, I own this basketball club in Europe or in Israel. And, we're going to talk to Pat Bev. And I said, oh, I didn't believe him. I really didn't believe him. And about a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, Pat Bev had signed with the team. I was like, okay, he's legit. I'm like, this makes sense.
He didn't lie to you.
No, he didn't lie to me at all. It was funny because my friend had sent me like a tweet that had announced that Pat Bev was going. I think Pat Bev's pod released the news. And I was like, oh, this man did not lie to me. As a matter of fact, he still follows me on Instagram. So shout out you. I honestly think you're going to get the deal done because what you did with Pat Bev, I was surprised that Pat Bev went over there. So I feel like if you could get Pat, because Pat's such a, I don't know, maybe I'm not surprised because Pat Loki, he needed that.
It was time. It was time.
Yeah, the timing kind of made sense for him.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I guess, with Russ, he just came off of he made about $3.3 million this year with the Nuggets. He technically has another season on his contract with them. I mean, if they offered Pat 2 and they could offer, 3.3 is not far out from 2. They're saying this is going to be a huge historic number that European basketball has never seen. So I feel like you're going to at least double it, right? That's more than he's making with the Nuggets now. If money is that big of a factor for Russ, do you think he would go? I mean, at this point too, we also have to look at his age. He's 37. Is it at that time in his career where this is something that he should seriously take into consideration?
I just wonder for Russ if it's like a pride thing. I wonder if to him going over there feels more like a failure.
That's fair.
Not a failure in a sense of basketball, because basketball is basketball. But for a guy who's been in the NBA so long, Mr. Triple Double, MVP, is I wonder for him and his ego of it all. Is it like I'm going over there? Pat Bev is Pat Bev, but I'm Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Should I really? But I guess I'll ask you, Bailey, if someone came to you and was like, we're going to give you life-changing money.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I'm in my late 30s. I got kids. I'm married. But they're like, this is going to be the biggest deal in the history of European basketball. Are you taking it for that year, 2 years? Would you take it?
I mean, if it's just a year is not a huge commitment.
A year for the bag? What?
I don't know. A year's not a huge commitment. And I guess I think about it from this perspective too. Well, I just thought about the war that's going on in Israel. I don't know.
It's serious. Yeah. You know what Pat Bev was like? Everybody asking me if I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm in a good side. Yeah. For now.
For now. You don't know when that's going to change.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me backtrack. This is my thought process though. First of all, Pat Bev's contract said that his house was covered, his car was covered. All he had to do was basically go over there, get paid to play basketball. He didn't have any type of living expenses, right? So I think about it from that perspective, right? getting not only the bag, but you're getting more than the bag, really, with how the contract structured.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, if playing basketball is what matters more to you, you're going to get more minutes playing in Israel than you're going to get playing for the
Mm-hmm.
Nuggets. I mean, especially at your age, like, I don't know. I think it just really like it comes down to what matters most to him. Is
Right.
it the money? Is it the money? Is it the playing time? Because if it's both, then honestly, it's not a bad deal. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's really not. But it's like there's other things that you do have to consider. You have a family. You're in Israel of all places, in the middle of this Israeli Gaza war. Like I don't know.
It's a
It's
lot
a
going
lot to
on.
yeah. It's a lot to think about. It's not. It's not just a simple like basketball conversation. Like there's
Yeah.
levels to it for sure.
And he's coming off a surgery too that I think he just had. So it's like,
Yeah.
if they're like, hey, we'll take you even with the surgery, the injury, like,
Yeah.
here's this month. And for him to say he's already kind of in talks with the camp, it's like, oh, so they're not declining your phone calls. Like, they're actually entertaining this kind of
Mhm.
slightly. Like, they
Yeah.
haven't hung up and was like, nah, he's not doing that. You told them that number, and they was like, oh, okay, give us a
Right.
minute. Let's talk about it. And like, that number has to be, you have to lead with it. The number has to be crazy.
No, yeah, that's what I say. I mean, like if they get Pat too, I could at least expect four. Like four has to make sense because
100%.
you're not going to match the contract he has now. I mean,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I get like the contract he has now. What is like it's a little over 3 each year, 2 years, 6 mil. But yeah, you can't match it. You have to give him more. I'm curious to know like what is the biggest Euro League contract because there's
Like, what are we
talking
freaking
about
out over? Like,
yeah, like it's never seen before in European basketball. What does that mean?
is
What
it like
like
Supermax money? Because Supermax money is like 300
yeah.
mil.
Like are
Like,
we talking like Saudi like fund? Like
y-
is it like one of those situations where they're offering Tiger like $1 billion to come to live golf? Or is like
right? Like, what is
what's
it?
the money? Like I
Yeah.
need to know what the money looks like because yeah, it has to be something crazy. I don't think it's gonna be that crazy and as a result. Like
Right. Like, are
I,
we gassing it? Like, are they
yeah.
gassing? We're like, that's it?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. Chat, if you know, if anyone wants to do a little bit of quick research as to what I'm like actually really curious now, what the max contract is, or like
Mhm.
what is the the best player in the league getting paid, and can Russ get that realistically? I mean, because I mean, at his grown age too, he's 37, or he's gonna be 37. Like he's 36 right now. It's just like I don't know. There's a lot of factors. But anyways. That's that. That's Russ. I don't chat. What do you think about it? I see some people saying that he should take it. He can make the most of it for sure. I don't know. What, Russ, if you're
I
out there
might take
listening
it.
to
I might
this.
take it too. I might take it. It depends. I might take that money. You know, Bailey was over there thinking about it, Chad. She was about to take that money
Yeah, no, sure.
for a year.
Sure was. Yeah, for a year. Hey, I'm in a different position than Pat. So yeah.
Them kids can FaceTime me
Yeah.
a year.
Right. I could do a year. I could do a year. It's not a prison sentence. Like it'll be okay.
Right. I'm
It'll be
good
okay.
because Pat looked like he was living. He was living.
Yeah, yeah. See, Bailey's definitely moving to Europe, and will. All right, chat. I wish we were able to do our call-in segment because that's my favorite part. But of course, we will be back next week. We had a W stream today. Thank you to everyone who tuned in for a full hour, 15 minutes. We did a long one today.
Yeah.
We'll be back again next week. Maybe the same time. Actually, what am I saying? Definitely the same time. Maybe the same length. Maybe a little bit shorter. Maybe a little bit longer. Who knows what we're going to be talking about? Hopefully, we're talking about 4 wins under the Pacers belt at that point. I guess we could who knows? We could be talking about the end of the finals. Maybe we won't even
Could
have the
be.
finals
Anything is
conversation.
possible.
I know. But with the way that the what do they say, the script is written, the league is rigged, I don't think we're gonna not be talking about the finals by
The
next
call
week.
will be put in.
Yeah, they like to keep it spicy. So, anyways, but that's all for today. Enjoy game 2. I know I will. I'm sure Lachelle you will be as well. As always, go Pacers. There we go. Go Pacers.
OKC fans, fight back. Fight back against Bailey. Fight back.
No, don't fight back against me. I don't need no haters. I don't need no negative energy. Y'all can stay in Oklahoma. I don't want nothing to do with y'all, and y'all don't want nothing to do with me. Respectfully, you don't know who I am. You don't know who I am. I pack a mean punch.
If you see the bear fighting Bailey, help the bear.
Help the bear. Help the bear. Because I got a Draco on me. Okay. All right. On that note, it's time to get off. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Somebody clip that. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. We will see you next week, same time, same place. Also, chat, I want you to know Wednesday I'm actually headed to game 3. I think I'm gonna do a stream for y'all, a special edition behind the scenes media day stream in Indianapolis. So W's in the chat if you want that to happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a poll on my Instagram as well. So chime in there at Bailey Jackson Sports. It's on the screen right now as well. But yeah, I take you behind the scenes of media day, ask them questions. I want to get y'all's input, feedback. Like, what do you want to hear? What do you want me to talk to the players about? But yeah, like I said, till next time, you know where to find us for Off the Record. Same time, same place, same stream. We out.